As you know, I have recently been a substitute teacher for the last couple of years. And I've tried to keep myself busy, but I've also kind of been interested in getting a chance to go to most of the schools in the district I teach in, which is the largest in Arizona. And it has been really an interesting experience. I have learned an awful lot about the magic of education. Teaching children mathematics is probably my favorite thing because when they get it, it is so exciting. They just get it. And all of a sudden, what was hard a minute ago is now going to be easy for the rest of their lives. And it's fascinating. I may have told this story before, but I went to a second grade class at a charter school, and they had this little girl that I would teach the whole class how to do everything. I would walk everybody through every step, and then I'd give them about half of the problems to do on their own. And if they had a problem, they could come up. Well, the kids that lined up on the left side of this desk, there was always a line of them, and they wanted some help. But there's one little girl, and she'd rush right up and she'd stand right next to me, wanting me to show her how to do every problem. And I wouldn't do them for her, but I would show her how to do them and ask her questions. And I felt really bad. Part of it was the language. I speak Spanish, so did she, so that helped. But the other problem was because of the disassociation with the language, she was struggling. But I was there for 3 days, and by the end of the third day in our math class, she got it. It was so exciting. I mean, that literally made my month, if not my year. So I was very excited. Um, and I apologize to my math teachers back at good old Rincon High School because I probably didn't pay enough attention. And I know I would have paid more attention if I had realized how big a part math was going to play in my life. And you know that I have, if you've listened to these, I was a prison chaplain for a number of years. And I went to the El Paso County Jail, the Tuna Federal Penitentiary, and some state prisons in New Mexico. And I worked with people in my church, and it was a very growing experience. I was a young man, not yet 30, and I had opportunities to help men work through their problems and understand why they had made the mistakes they made and the things they wanted to do better and differently. One of the last assignments I had this last school year was to go to a school that was an alternative school. I didn't know that at the time. It had a strange name, and some schools are like Jonathan Webster Elementary, named after Webster. I don't know if it's Jonathan Webster or not. And then some schools have fancier names, and this name was a little unique, but that didn't stand out to me. I knew where it was, and it had been a former junior high and had been repurposed as this school. And I get there, and there's lots of security, and I'm thinking, oh, great, what have I signed myself up for? And this was a school where kids that had behavior problems were sent. And I was sent into a room with 6 boys. I was the only teacher, and I had 3 teachers' assistants in that class. And my job was to teach math and to teach science and to let the teachers' assistants make sure that I stayed safe and that the boys stayed safe. And it was really interesting. The youngest and smallest of these boys had a temper that was unbelievable. And he said something really rude and crude to one of these teacher's assistants. And I asked him to come back and apologize. And man, he just tore off, ran out of that room. Apology was not going to happen. But the interesting thing was he didn't get very far. There was security They brought him back in, found out why he had left, and then they took him into a cool down room. And I don't know if he was gone for half an hour or so, but he came back in. He apologized to the teacher's assistant that he had offended, and he apologized to me. And then he sat back down and went back to work. Now, it wasn't a perfect situation because, uh, and several of these boys had to go out of the room into with security that day. They literally came back in the room and ate lunch in the room with me. Um, they told me I could eat lunch somewhere else if I didn't want to eat with the boys, and I didn't have a problem either way. Um, and What was interesting to me is it was a lot like what they probably wish their homes were like, in that for every action there was an equal reaction. If they did something right, they got rewarded right away. If they did something wrong, punishment followed right away. And these boys were all trying to get out of this placement, but they were there because this was their last chance. Um, One boy was, and he wasn't a very big boy, but he was throwing desks and chairs in his old school. And he tried to do that in this school, and they sat him at a desk and a chair that were bolted to the floor. Wasn't going to throw those around. But he still had a problem with his temper, and I don't know what was going on at home. But it was impressive that it was immediate. And again, I don't know what was going on with the family at home. One telling experience was is a student was still there when I was leaving, and his grandmother was late picking him up, and she had left two children in the vehicle and came up to get the boy. And the principal said, "That's not going to work. You need to get those children, bring them in here." "Well, they're both asleep." She said, the principal said, "Well, that's not my problem. We have to talk about whatever his name was, his day to day." And this grandmother probably wasn't there on the because she wanted to be there, but was there because no one else would do it. And to make a long story short, she had to go wake up those children and carry them in, and then sit down in the principal's office and go over what was going on. I stayed for a minute to make sure that the principal was safe, not knowing that one of our assistant superintendents was also in the building. And when he verified that, as I had, that she was safe, we both went out into the foyer, introduced ourselves, and he went his way and I went mine. But it was an interesting experience, one I'm glad I had. I'm not sure that it was as much teaching as I wanted to. I usually actually, when I'm teaching, I like to actually teach something instead of playing a game, which is what we did. For math, I think we were asked to play Connect Four. Other than counting to four, I'm not quite sure how we got there. But, they had a good teacher, and the whole idea was to get them through the year. It was towards the end of the year. So that was my experience at basically a school that was like a prison. The walls were probably 9 feet tall or more. You needed a key to get anywhere. The restrooms for the faculty were in the library, and every time I went into the library to use the restroom, the librarian, who was not a small guy, would stand up from his chair and look at me and say, "Oh, okay." The first time I was like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "What? I'm here to use the restroom." "Oh, you're teaching today?" "Yes." "Okay, you can be here. It's okay then." But I thought, wow, these guys are serious about their security, and I guess they need to be. I didn't see any older kids, but I understood that facility went to grade 8, and I had it was originally planned for through grade 6, and I had third and fourth grade boys. So it was an interesting experience. Again, one I'm glad I had, but also one I didn't need to experience except as a teacher. I'm glad as a boy I was able to control my temper, control my mouth, and also have a desire to learn. Uh, Not everybody wants to learn anymore, which is sad. So let me let you go. Thank you so much for joining me for Brain Break with Randy. Please like and subscribe. And if you would, tell your friends about us. We would love to have them join us as well. We have a growing community and people are enjoying this, and I am grateful for that. Have a great day. And again, thank you so much.